Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive! This week, I continue my series talking about the whirlwind tour of the Inner Sphere for BattleTech by talking about simultaneously the oldest and the youngest of the great powers during the final, currently published era, the Age of Destruction era of BattleTech. Yes, that's right. This week I talk about the Free Worlds League and the Republic of the Inner Sphere. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about two very different factions. The Free Worlds League was founded in 2271, making it officially the oldest of the great powers. And it was originally formed with a treaty between the Marik Republic, the Federation of Oriente, and the Regulan Principality. One of its first acts was when, in 2293, it conquered the Stewart Commonalty. And of course, there were the many Endurian wars between the Free Worlds League and the Capellan Confederation. Eventually, it always gets kind of out of hand. Basically, the sort of joke about the Free Worlds League is civil war is the national pastime. You see, each of these regions, each of these sub-countries within the Free Worlds League maintained their own culture, their own traditions. This is very much unlike the rest of the Inner Sphere, where, for the most part, with the exception of the area of Cold Sky, the Isle of Skye, and the Lyran Commonwealth, most places kind of subsumed everything into their own unique national culture. Not the Free Worlds League. And so you have these different cultures, these different philosophies that all know at one point they were independent states, and all know that they could become independent states again. So, periodically, they'll just fight a civil war. Now, the thing that the Word of Blake did kind of caused some issues. It was revealed that their Captain General for a long time was actually an imposter. The Principality of Regulus broke away and started using salted nukes on certain Word of Blake areas. And in essence, it was a case of the Free Worlds League could not stand as it was, and so it broke up into its constituent parts. In 3139, Jessica Marik reunited a number of the former Free Worlds League provinces into a new Free Worlds League. And that was the state it is in now. It's not the whole of the Free Worlds League, but it is the core of it. The Marik Stewart Commonwealth, Oriente, and Andorian, ironically enough. Regulus kind of never really played ball, which is why the resurgent Free Worlds League let them be destroyed by the invading Clan Wolf. The area that will become the Wolf Empire is actually Regulus. And a little bit of Lyran space. But the government of the Free Worlds League is where things get interesting. First and foremost, the leader of the Free Worlds League is the Captain General. The Captain General is appointed by the Parliament. Technically, anyone could be the Captain General, but the Free Worlds Parliament generally elects a Marik for the position. The Parliament itself is the supreme governing body, has the power to pass laws, create taxes, decide on appropriations, and they select a speaker every 2 years, who then appoints ministers to oversee the various agencies. The main Free Worlds agencies are communications, defense, energy, foreign affairs, human services, intelligence, justice, trade, and taxation. And of course, these are all ratified by the Parliament. And this is the easy part. In fact, selecting the Speaker of Parliament is usually the hardest part. But of course, you have the Lords of the Realm, a body of nobles who are at least planetary rulers. And it functions as an advisory role to the Parliament and cannot vote. The Lords aren't paid for it, so very few actually choose to show up. However, they do kind of get a bit more media attention than the rest of the Parliament. Now, the Captain General is the main position, the main leader. And officially, the Captain General only has the power to oversee military matters when so appointed by Parliament. Originally, it was a 1-year term that could be renewed indefinitely. However, Parliament has essentially given the Captain General more authority, and pretty much extended it to a for-life position. There is no constitutional authority saying that only House Marik can be the Captain General, but only 2 non-Marik Captain Generals have ever been appointed. And the Succession Act of 2310 in effect gave House Marik the ability to select a member of their family to be the Captain General. Once the Star League was formed, the Captain General was made a permanent position. And the Captain General was recognized as the Council Lord for the Free Worlds League on the Star League High Council. And following the fall of the Star League, Parliament passed Resolution 288. This resolution gave the Captain General broad powers for the duration of the crisis. These powers included being able to convene and dismiss Parliament, supreme authority over the Free Worlds League military, the right to choose one's successor, and the authority to nationalize industries associated with military production. Then in the 3030s, you had the Internal Emergency Act, passed in response to the Andurian secession. The law stripped all provinces except the Duchy of Oriente and the Principality of Regulus of their autonomy, subjecting them to the rule of the Captain General. And then there was the Addendum to the Incorporation, passed in 3037. This one was passed at the insistence of Captain General Thomas Marik, and it removed the ability of Parliament to use finances as a measure to check the Captain General. And oh yeah, it gave the Captain General veto power over every law passed by Parliament. So, in effect, these laws have set up, over the centuries, have set up that the Captain General is the supreme leader of the Free Worlds League, though Parliament does get a lot of say. And, you know, there's always the fact if people can't agree, civil war, because it's the Free Worlds League. But now it's time to talk about the youngest power, the Republic of the Sphere. The Republic of the Sphere was formed officially on the 15th of March, 3081, with all the great houses except House Liao signing the Republic Formation Treaty. House Liao would eventually sign the Tikhonov Treaty of 3085, which would be the point where the Capellan Confederation officially recognized the Republic of the Sphere as a sovereign nation. Now, the Republic of the Sphere had two main social programs that were its initial and defining programs. The first is the Resettlement Act of 3082. It's provided various incentive programs to mix the variety of cultures that existed within the Republic's claimed space. This would be a case of, let's move some Capellans here to this world traditionally held by Davians. Let's move some Karita here. Oh, there's some Steiner over here. Let's move them in. Oh, look, we have some clans who've agreed to work here. Boom! Here you go. You're all on this nice big planet, all happy together, living next door to each other, working next to each other. And the purpose of it was to work on breaking down the old hatreds and biases. Because let's face it, you know, when you're talking about 3 centuries of warfare, people tend to have formed their opinions of the other houses. And so, the hope was, by doing this, it would erase those differences. It did take decades, but it did more or less break down the factionalism within the Republic. The second major program was the Military Material Redemption Program. It grew out of the Citizenship Priority Decree of 3083, and it was the infamous BattleTech buyback program. It was to decommission battle mechs and other tools of warfare, to downsize the armies, and get those mechs, get those tanks out of the hands of private individuals in exchange for citizenship and other socioeconomic incentives, like land and money. And the first Senate meeting was called in 3085 on Terra. And the Knights of the Sphere were officially formed in 3088. And by 3091, Stone had finally set in the hierarchy of the government. And, well, the Republic is ruled by the Exarch. The Exarch is elected by the Council of Paladins. And only one of the Paladins of the Sphere may be elected to the position of Exarch. The Exarch is the chief executive, makes the decisions that affect the entire Republic, and the first two Exarchs were not elected. Exarchs after Devlin Stone only served 4-year terms. Devlin Stone appointed Damian Redburn to be his successor. And of course, Devlin Stone was the first Exarch. The third Exarch, Jonah Levin, was elected by the Council of Paladins. And below the Exarch are the Council of Paladins. They answer only to the Exarch, and they're chosen by the Exarch from the ranks of knights when a slot becomes available, through retirement, promotion to Exarch, or death of a paladin. They are thoroughly tested by the fellow paladins after being chosen, and then they are knighted to paladin rank in a ceremony using Devlin Stone's sword by the Exarch. There are 18 paladins. 17 of them are known public figures. And then there is one paladin known as the Ghost Paladin, who runs the intelligence service of the Republic with his contingent of what are called Ghost Knights. And of course, the Paladin Council did end up being short towards the end of the Age of Destruction, before the fortress went up. But in essence, Paladins are pretty much the overseers and advisory council to the Exarch, and they're also the people he sends out as sort of troubleshooters. Below the Paladins are the Knights. These are people who've been recognized by the government of the Republic as highly skilled and intelligent individuals who have set aside their own needs for that of the Republic. The Knights were used to promote a model of behavior for the people to look up to. They are the immediate agents of the Paladins and Exarchs, and to act as aides-de-camp, military liaisons to local militia, commanders or commanders in their own right. They are not necessarily military personnel, though it is the most common. And, of course, the Ghost Knights are the elite of the Republic intelligence community. They do what they have to, like any other intelligence branch. Of course, there are two ranks for the knighthood. Knights Errant are basically, are the entry-level knights. Their uniforms are gray tunics and black trousers, with scarlet and gold piping, with their name monogrammed on their left breast. And a full knight, is gray steel tunic with scarlet piping, and a gold shield on each arm, and a cape of rank. Again, they're pretty much, you have the Exarch, his council of paladins who selects the next Exarch, and kind of oversee certain special interests. And then you have the knights under them who do their bidding. Now, each prefecture, which there are 10 prefectures, has a governor, appointed for life, and can only be stripped of that title by the Senate. Though, of course, if a governor accepts a seat on the Senate, they have to give up their governorship. Every prefecture is ruled by a Lord Governor. Each world is ruled by a single governor. And there's a military leader selected by the paladins who serves for 5 years called the prefect. The paladin's choice can only be overruled by the Exarch. And on each world there is a military leader called a legate, who is appointed by the governor and oversees planetary security and all martial issues on the planet. There is not any set term for a legate, but they all answer to the prefect of their prefecture. And finally, there is the Senate, a body of 30 to 40 individuals that oversees the political aspects of the government. They basically deal with any issues that cross prefecture boundaries, and they act as an oversight committee for all governors, making sure the governors don't abuse their power. 3 to 4 senators are elected by the citizens of each prefecture. And of course, there are 10 prefectures. The senators are always from the nobility, except on clan-populated worlds, where a tribal position is taken. Senator will serve until he's voted out. And even Knights of the Sphere can be elected to the Senate, but on those instances, the Knight must give up all his powers and responsibilities with the Knights of the Sphere for the duration of his term. Once said Knight leaves the Senate, provided he passes the required tests, he can re-enter the Knights of the Sphere. And really, the Senate's powers ultimately are advisory. And each world sends 2 noble representatives to Geneva. Stone kind of didn't like the idea that a nation's leaders would be shielded from their people. So he wanted to sort of get rid of the hereditary nobility. However, he still needed their support to make the Republic work. So the Senate was sort of a compromise. It gave them no real power, but it let them pump and preen all they wanted. And all the real power was in the Exarch, the Paladins, and the Knights of the Sphere. And with that, I end the tour of the powers of the Inner Sphere. Next week, I begin the next step of the setting discussion, talking about the clans and their culture. It's going to be a very much an overview, not an in-depth look at it from the history to the modern era. It's going to be focused on the culture of the clans. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.